Assalamualaikum guys and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to study about ribs. The ribs, as you all know, as an important part of axial skeleton. Okay, if you have not studied about axial skeleton or the first two parts of axial skeleton, that are skull and vertebral column, then I will give the link in the description box. You can study them. You all know that the axial skeleton has four main parts, that are skull, vertebral column, the third one are ribs and sternum. In this lecture you will learn about ribs and sternum. So let's get started. First of all, you have to go through the contents, that what will you study in this lecture. First of all, you will study the definition and then the function of the ribs, then what is the rib cage, the number of ribs in the human body, then you will go through the types of the ribs, and then the most important, intercostal muscles, the definition of intercostal muscles, the types of intercostal muscles and their function. So start with the definition of ribs. Ribs are mainly series of cylinder curved bones articulated in pairs to the spine, which means these are cylinder. The ribs are cylinder. Cylinder means they are thin bones. Okay, thin bones and are curved. Curved means they are present in the form of C shape, starting from your anterior part of the body to your posterior part of the body, or you can say that starting from your chest to your back. Okay, they are articulated in pairs. They are always present in, the ribs are always present in pairs, in the form of pairs, which means the 12 pairs are present on the right side and the other 12 pairs are present on the left side and attaching to the spine. You are seeing in the definition, articulated in pairs to the spine. Spine means vertebral column, means they are all attached to your vertebral column, and vertebral column is commonly known as backbone. Moving to the functions of the ribs. The first main function of the rib is it protect your thoracic organs. First of all, you have to learn about the thoracic organs, that what are thoracic organs. Thoracic organs mean your chest organs that are present in your chest cavity, and you know the lungs and the heart are the main thoracic organs that are present on your chest cavity. As you can see in the diagram, the ribs are covering or are protecting your lungs and the heart. So the main function of the ribs is the protection of your thoracic organs. The second function of the ribs is support to upper extremities. Upper extremities means your upper limb, means the portion of your body above the above your legs. Okay. Then the upper extremities, it will provide support to your upper extremities and you can stand straight because of the vertebral column and the presence of ribs on your body. So it is providing the support to your upper part of the body. The third main function is the helping in respiration. The ribs are mainly a part that are helping in respiration. How they help in respiration? Let's move through this. That during inhalation, or when you take your air inside your lungs, the muscle between the ribs that are called mainly intercostal muscles, the muscles between the ribs will relax and the ribs move upward or ribs move out. Moving the ribs move upward, that will result in the expanding of the lungs and the air will easily move into your lungs. And during exhalation means when you have to put out your air from your body or from your lungs, all the processes are reversed. First of all, the intercostal muscles, they will contract and the ribs move downward toward your lungs, and then the size of your lungs will normalize, resulting in exhalation. So in this way, the ribs are helping in respiration. means when the ribs will move out, it will result in inhalation, and when ribs will move back, it will result in exhalation, means the air will move out from your body. When you study about the ribs, the main thing you have to study is also a rib cage. What is rib cage? Ribs form a cage-like structure, means you see the cages in many zoos that are containing many animals like lion, elephants, etc. So the ribs are forming a cage-like structure which is called rib cage, and rib cage will hold your thoracic organs, and remember the thoracic organs are lungs and your heart. So the consistency of the rib cage, that it will consist of 12 thoracic vertebrae. I think you will remember the thoracic vertebrae that you have studied in the last lecture of the vertebral column. The thoracic vertebrae, so let's remind this. The thoracic vertebrae are the vertebrae that are present on your thoracic back. Means the thoracic cavity is holding the small vertebrae on its back. These are thoracic vertebrae, and there are total 12 thoracic vertebrae. So every rib is attaching to your thoracic vertebrae that are present in your thoracic region, and 24 ribs. As you have studied, the ribs are always present in pairs, so there are 12 thoracic vertebrae and the pair will be 12 into 2 is equals to 24. As you can see in the diagram, these are thoracic vertebrae. These are thoracic vertebrae starting from that point and ending at this point, and they are attaching these ribs. 12 right side ribs are attaching to 12 thoracic vertebrae, and 12 left side ribs are also attaching to your thoracic vertebrae. Now, as we are studying the number of ribs, you have studied again and again and again that there are total 12 pair of ribs. 12 pairs mean there are 24 ribs. The 12 pair ribs are present in the form of 12 left side ribs and 12 right side ribs on your body that are attaching on the sternum, on the front of your body, and to the thoracic vertebrae on your back. Now, as you can see in this diagram, there are different types of ribs, that are true ribs, false ribs, and are floating ribs. So let's start the types of the ribs. Let's study the types of the ribs in detail. From I think we have to move to the diagram to study it properly. There are three types: true ribs, next is false ribs, and the third one is floating ribs. The true ribs are called true ribs because they are attaching to the sternum directly. This bone is called sternum, and these ribs, the first one, the second one, the third one, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. These first 7 ribs means 7 pairs, 7 on the left side and 7 on the right side are present in the front and are attaching directly to the sternum. So they are, because they are present directly attaching to the sternum, so they are called true ribs. These types of ribs are formed because of their attachment to the sternum. Either they are directly attached or are indirectly attached. So the first 7 pairs are true ribs and they are directly attaching to the sternum. The second type is the false ribs, and the 8th, 9th and 10th pair are false ribs. Why they are called false ribs? They are called false ribs because they are not directly attached to the sternum. They are attaching to the sternum because of some extensions that are called costal cartilage. And this costal cartilage is mainly hyaline cartilage, and you know that the hyaline cartilage is transparent cartilage and mostly present in the joints like nose, larynx and ribs. So these false ribs are not directly attaching to the sternum, they are attaching by the help of costal cartilage, and these costal cartilages are of the above ribs, means they are coming from the above ribs and then attaching to the pair 8th, 9th and 10th, means the pairs of the false ribs, and help in the attachment of these false ribs to the sternum. The third pair, third part or the third type is the floating ribs. These floating ribs ranges from the pair 11 to pair 12, means the 4 are floating ribs, 2 on the left side and 2 on the right side. And these are called floating ribs because they are not even attached to the sternum, directly or indirectly or not attached. Then the true ribs are directly attached, false ribs are indirectly attached, and floating ribs are not attached to the sternum. They are only attaching to the thoracic vertebrae, and these thoracic vertebrae are thoracic vertebrae number 11 and thoracic vertebrae number 12, and it is attaching these ribs. Because they are present in the floating like condition in your body, so they are called floating ribs. Muscles. The function of the intercostal muscles is they mainly help in the breathing, and the mechanism is same that I have told you previously, that the intercostal muscles when relax we inhale the air, and when the intercostal muscles contract we exhale the air from your body. Moving to the next, that are intercostal muscles. Intercostal muscles are mainly the muscles that are present between your ribs. As you have studied the costal cartilage was present on the interior point of your ribs, but these intercostal muscles are present between your ribs. The types are internal intercostal muscles and external intercostal muscles. Moving to this slide, you can see the ribs and the brown and green part between them. This brown and green part is showing the intercostal muscles. These intercostal muscles, as I have told you, that dividing it into internal intercostal muscles and external intercostal muscles. Internal intercostal muscles mean that they are present near the sternum as showing in the figure, the brown muscles, and the external intercostal muscles are present on the remaining portion between the ribs, excluding the internal intercostal muscles, as you can see that green portion. Okay, then this is all about the intercostal muscles. I hope you have all understood all the definitions, function, and all about rib cage and all about intercostal muscles. But the point is, what is the function of Next, the last portion of axial skeleton is sternum. In this portion, you will study about the common name of the sternum, the definition of the sternum, the location about the sternum, the parts of the sternum, and what is the function of the sternum. As you know that God have created everything for a purpose, so we will continue to study the function of everything. Moving to the names of the sternum. The sternum is mostly commonly called breastbone because you can see that it is present on the center of the breast, or it is called sword bone because of its shape. Its shape is like a sword, so it is called a sword bone. Then what is a sternum? Sternum is a T-shaped bone. As you can see the shape, this is a vertical portion of the T and this is a slight horizontal portion of the T. Second, it is a vertical bone and a flat bone. And what is the location of the sternum? It will present on the interior portion of your chest wall. Then this is the anterior portion of your chest wall, and it is present at the center of your chest wall and attaching ribs to it. Sternum mainly consists of three parts. First part is manubrium, second part is body, and the third part is xiphoid process. The manubrium is the portion of the sternum that is attaching your clavicle to it. These bones are called clavicle. They are mainly called your beauty bone. Simple or common name of the clavicle is beauty bone. So manubrium is a portion of the sternum that is attaching to your beauty bone. The third portion is the xiphoid process. The xiphoid process is mainly a cartilaginous section. Cartilaginous section, and the part that is present between manubrium and xiphoid process is body, and it is the longest part of the sternum. Studying about xiphoid processes, first of all, it is a cartilaginous section, means it is made up of cartilage that is present in the lower end of the sternum, as you can see in this diagram. It is not attached to the ribs. You can also see it, and the important property of this xiphoid process, it gradually ossifies during the adult life. It gradually ossifies. Ossifies means it is present in the form of cartilage in the fetus, and when the human being changes from its fetus to adult life, it will gradually ossifies, means it will turn into a proper bone or a bony tissue. Starting the functions of the sternum, first function is the protection to the thoracic organs. Then how it will protect the thoracic organs? This function is of the sternum is along with the ribs. Means the sternum along with the ribs help in the protection of thoracic organs. And the second function is the protection to blood vessels. And you know, the blood vessels are small tubes that will help in the circulation of the blood throughout your body. So these the blood vessels that are present in your chest cavity or your thoracic cavity, the sternum and the ribs are going to protect those blood vessels. Here we have completed our axial skeleton. The portions of the axial skeleton: skull, vertebral column, ribs, and sternum. So then we calculate the total bone axial skeleton. You know, the total bones of the axial skeleton are 80. So here is the calculation. You have studied the skull consists of total 22 bones, and the skull is further consists of cranium and facial bones. The cranium consisting of 8 bones and facial bones are total 14. So 8 plus 14 are 22. The vertebral column consisting of 33 vertebrae. The ribs, as you have studied, there are 24 ribs, and the sternum is a single bone, so 1. So when you calculate 22 plus 33 plus 24 and plus 1, you will get the answer 80. Okay, I hope you have all understand all the parts of axial skeleton, their bones, their location, their position, and their function. Last, if you want to study about skull and vertebral column, I will give the links of the videos in the description box. So no worries, go and study them. Finally, share it with your friends if you like this video, and if you have any difficulty in the topic of any biology topic, then you can comment the name of the topic in the comment section. Thank you so much.